MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 230 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. It's Wednesday, June 18th. Wow, 2025. I'm Allison Gill.
I had to double check too. June 18th, like we're rolling. Let's keep it going. Only a couple more years left through this crap. Hey, AG, Harry Dunn here. We got a lot to discuss today, including the charges against Vance Boelter, the right-wing assassin who is now in custody after a 2-day manhunt in Minnesota. Such a sad story there. Mm-hmm. And an update on the Proud Boys, $100 million lawsuit against their friends at the DoJ.
Yeah, right.
Got to make sure they know it's their friends out there.
Yeah. We also have some updates on Trump's appeal of the Carroll case. And we have a new lawsuit against Elon Musk for bribing Wisconsin voters in the Supreme Court race. And we have a new American Bar Association lawsuit against Donald Trump for all the shenanigans he's trying to pull with law firms. And of course, we'll end with the trial against the pillow man, Mike Lindell, because that is now with the jury. They're deliberating. But first, we've got some new patrons to thank. Thanks to Blue in Deep Red, Florida, Juju Bean 101, Simon Osborne, Luke Simmons, W8NC, Darlene, and Tracy. Thank you so much for being patrons of Clean Up on Aisle 45. We appreciate you. And thanks to all the patrons who came out to the No Kings marches and our little meet and greet that we had in San Diego. It was so great to meet you all. If you want to sign up to become a patron, I think we're going to be having our monthly happy hour Zoom for patrons this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Are you around, Harry?
Yeah, of course. Let's make it. It's so funny. Anytime I think like patrons and happy hour, I just think Patron and happy hour. So
you can bring Patron to the patron happy hour. Bring Patron
to the patron happy hour. I love that.
Yeah. So if you want to sign up to become a patron, it's very simple. Just go to patreon.com/aisle45pod, AISLE45POD. Also, we're going to cover the prosecution of the right-wing terrorist assassin who went on a murder spree in Minneapolis. We're going to do that in depth here on Clean Up on Aisle 45 because this is political violence and it is a direct result of Trump and the MAGA movement. Yeah. So I think it's appropriate we cover it here. And we'll have legal experts coming on and joining us in the coming weeks to talk about it. And Harry, you have some news about, we're talking about all these lawsuits, but you've got a lawsuit.
Yeah, last week, Daniel Hodges, if you all know, is the officer who testified with me and Sergeant Cannell and Michael Fanone about their experiences on January 6th. Before the January 6th committee, he was the officer who was crushed in the doors, screaming. Him and I filed a lawsuit against the architect of the Capitol in his official capacity for his failure to comply with the law, putting up the plaque honoring the January 6th officers and heroes of that day. I think it's very important. Like, listen, we asked nicely. We tried political pressure. We even said please, and they still didn't put the plaque up. So now we're going to court. Listen, this lawsuit is very simple in our eyes. There's a law passed that this needed to be hung, and they are 2 years past the deadline of complying with the law. Not a resolution, this was law. It was signed into law. It was passed by Congress, and it was signed by the president, and they are in defiance of the law. So this lawsuit is simple. Either comply with the law and put the plaque up or change the law. Those are the only two outcomes here. But not complying with the law is not an option. So hopefully we'll get some resolution and relief. Since I have to use legal terms, that's the legal term. We hope we get some relief by the courts to compel Congress to follow their own law. It's unfortunate that it takes a lawsuit for them to do so. But if that's the way we have to go nowadays, then, I'm up for the challenge.
Is the architect of the Capitol, does he have the power to just hang this without, just go around Mike Johnson? Like, what's the architect of the Capitol's alignment? I'm not even sure who it is these days.
Well, the architect of the Capitol, believe it or not, is a presidential appointment. So I have to look. I know they were acting under a acting one for a long time now. But I think that if they're compelled by Congress one way or the other to do it or not do it, then I feel like that has a lot of a weight about if they comply or not. Hopefully we'll find out these things. Hopefully that we'll aim to find that out during the lawsuit. What has caused this delay? Is it because the plaque is done? I mean, because the plaque is done according to, several members of Congress. And, we've heard all kinds of rumors about why, I've heard a rumor that said, we'll just hang it they're deciding what bathroom to put it in with something. I've heard all kinds of rumors, but hopefully in Discovery, we'll have the opportunity to find out what has caused this delay. And, I look forward to bringing the recognition to my coworkers who bravely defended the Capitol, and to continue to remember and not whitewash or erase what happened that day.
Yeah, and a lot of that'll come out in Discovery, especially if there's any communications between Republicans and the architect of the Capitol or the White House to tell them not to. So we look forward to that, and we'll tell you all about it here as it happens, as much as we can.
As much as we can. With these lawsuits things, you can't be out here flapping your gums every single time, and that's going to be hard for me. But I think I could keep it a little quiet though.
Sweet. All right, let's get into this tragic story out of Minneapolis or Minnesota in general for the weekend, because this happened all around the Twin Cities. This is Vance Boelter, whose roommate, by the way, said he is a right-wing person. He listens to Alex Jones's InfoWars. He's a Christian nationalist, and he has been apprehended by law enforcement after a 2-day manhunt. Here's some information. This is from the Times. The suspect, Vance Boelter, 57, was in police custody on Sunday after a 2-day manhunt. Officials believe he is the gunman who impersonated a police officer and fatally shot State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, and wounded State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, early Saturday morning. Joseph H. Thompson, who is the acting U.S. attorney for the District of Minnesota, this is the Department of Justice, Trump's Department of Justice, told reporters Monday that officials had recovered hundreds of pages of the suspect's writing across multiple notebooks that were full of plans, lists of names, surveillance efforts, and the home addresses and family members and relationships with these elected officials. And that's according to the DOJ. And the DOJ says, we're still working on a motive. Really? Because all the elected officials he targeted were Democrats.
Yeah, what a horrible story, and even more of what could have been, obviously, see with the manifesto, so to speak. The U.S. attorney said that Boelter had actually visited 2 other homes, but fortunately, they weren't home. Authorities also believe he was planning on targeting the No Kings marches. When he was apprehended, he was charged with second-degree murder. Many were wondering why he wasn't initially charged with first-degree murder, and the reason is that only a grand jury can indict on first-degree murder charges in Minnesota. Second-degree murder charges are the most you can bring on information to arrest someone without a grand jury indictment. The DA has said they will be asking a jury to indict on first-degree murder charges.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because a lot of folks were like, second-degree murder, WTF. Yeah. This was clearly planned. But you cannot bring first-degree murder charges unless a grand jury does it. And the DA is planning that, so that's good. Minnesota does have terrorism charges they can bring, and we'll see if they bring them. So far, the state says it's bringing first-degree murder charges, like you said. The feds are bringing 6 felony counts, including stalking and firearms charges. And both the U.S. attorney and the DA say the investigation is ongoing. So further charges could be added, right, as they uncover things. According to the U.S. attorney, the feds, here's the timeline. And this was from a press conference at 2:36 in the morning. After learning of the shooting at Hoffman's home, New Hope police dispatched an officer to the New Hope lawmaker's house. That's one of the people that they wanted to go do a wellness check on. And when the officer arrived, she saw Boelter's car parked down the block, and she believed Boelter was an officer that was dispatched to the scene. Okay. So the officer pulled up next to Boelter, who she thought was a fellow cop, rolled down her window, tried to speak with him, but he didn't respond and stared straight ahead. So
That's
the
weird.
New Hope officer, drove to the state senator's home and waited for other law enforcement. But by that time, Boelter had left the scene. And after the Hoffmans were shot, officers proactively went to the home of his fellow lawmaker, former Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, Melissa Hortman, in the nearby town of Brooklyn Park.
When the two Brooklyn Park officers arrived, they saw Boelter's SUV in the driveway with emergency lights flashing and Boelter standing in front of the house a few feet from the door, Thompson said. When Boelter saw the officers, he allegedly started firing and rushed into the house, killing Hortman and her husband. This story just gets wilder and wilder. The Brooklyn Park officers fired at Boelter while he allegedly rushed into the house, but Boelter escaped into the house and out the back. The target list recovered from the suspect's car outside the Hortman's house had a list of dozens of Minnesota Democrats, including Hortman, Governor Tim Walz, U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar, and U.S. Senator Tina Smith.
My God. It's also been confirmed that Klobuchar was on the list, by the way. State and federal charges are not mutually exclusive, by the way. You'll recall Derek Chauvin was convicted on both federal and Minnesota state charges for the murder of George Floyd. Governor Tim Walz said he would keep Chauvin in jail on the state charges if Trump pardoned him on the federal charges, which he hasn't done, at least not yet. So Boelter appeared in federal court Monday, said he couldn't afford a lawyer. One of the federal prosecutors, Bradley M. Endicott, said that the suspect had demonstrated not only an intent to flee, but the capacity to do so. So the judge set a joint preliminary hearing and a detention hearing for June 27th. So he'll be held in custody in the meantime. Boelter didn't enter a plea at the hearing because he didn't have a lawyer. Thompson said his office had filed 6 federal counts during this hearing. That's what he said, 6 federal counts. Like I said, stalking, shooting the Hortmans with firearms, and 2 counts of murder tied to the Hortmans' deaths. The latter could expose Boelter to a potential death sentence should he be convicted on federal charges. Yeah. So this is a developing story. We will keep an eye on it, and we will give you all the details as we learn them here on Cleanup on Aisle 45. And by the way, hats off to everyone who showed up at the No Kings marches despite the danger. That kind of moral courage is just, it's hard. I'm just wrapping my head around it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing, AG. I was thinking when I was watching this, I was like, wow, this is probably going to dampen the mood for today. This is going to be the leading story. And you know what? It's not a competition when you're talking about coverages and stories like that. But I am really glad that a lot of people still showed up, whether it be in defiance or to go out there to strengthen their resolve to go out there. And you know what's one of the things about this that that bothered me. I was going to say a lot of the response, but it's specifically one U.S. senator's response to this. Mike Lee. What a terrible, disgusting human being he is. His responses, I'm not even going to give him airtime. Y'all can go look at it or whatever, but exactly what he said. But there was no compassion, no empathy, no sorry for the victims or anything like that. But he just went on to attack Tim Walz, while Tim Walz was clearly a target of that. So, what a despicable man you are, Mike Lee. You're a horrible person. You're a horrible senator. And, I always say, we say this all the time. Just when we think we can't get more, they can't get any more lower than they show us every single time. But what just a terrible human being he is. Absolutely.
He's gross for what he was posting. And the whole right wing, quote unquote, manosphere, I guess, talking about how this was a Marxist left woke guy. And now they're awfully quiet now that all the evidence has come out to the contrary. All right, we've got more to go over, and we're going to talk about the different lawsuits, including E. Jean Carroll, and also some bad news for the Proud Boys and their $100 million lawsuit right after this quick break. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's AG, and if you're like me, you've spent way too much time and way too much money trying to find something that actually helps with soreness or stress or anxiety, so let me save you some trouble. CBD from CB Distillery is the first thing that gave me real results. Millions of people use it because it works. My go-to is the pain relief stick and the sleep gummies. But the pain relief stick, after a long workout or whatever, a hike, I smooth it on my lower back or my calves and even my elbows and my knees. Within minutes, I feel relief. It smells nice. It does the job. I love it. I also use the sleep gummies, like I said, just my mind will not stop thinking of things when I'm trying to fall asleep. And they don't knock me out and make me feel groggy in the morning. They just help me settle down naturally. So it's no wonder over 90% of customers report better sleep with CB Distillery. I want to thank CB Distillery for sponsoring this episode. You can get 25% off your entire purchase at cbdistillery.com. and use promo code CLEANUP, all one word. CB Distillery is where I go for all my CBD now, and everything is made with the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, no junk, just premium CBD. They've got specialized formulas for sleep, stress, pain, even mood and focus. Everything's clean, everything's high quality, and they even have options for pets, CBD cookies for your best friends. With over 2 million happy customers and a full money-back guarantee, you have no risk. It's clear they know what they're doing. So if you've been struggling, haven't found relief yet, try it risk-free. I highly recommend giving CB Distillery a try. And for a limited time, you can save 25% on your entire purchase. Just visit cbdistillery.com, use promo code CLEANUP. That is cbdistillery.com, promo code CLEANUP. One last time, visit cbdistillery.com and use promo code CLEANUP. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. All right, everybody, welcome back. We have an update on Trump is still appealing the E. Jean Carroll case, both of them, right? And this one, we have an update. This is the $5 million award that she got. It was called Carroll 2 because there were two cases, even though it went first. And in this particular $5 million lawsuit, that's when E. Jean Carroll was able to develop the fact that Trump had defamed her. Okay.
Yeah.
And that verdict was used to skip over a bunch of stuff in the $83 million award that she won. So this is kind of the foundational lawsuit. It's called Carroll 2, like I said, even though it went first, but it was filed second. And so this is Trump's appeal of the $5 million E. Jean Carroll suit. Trump appealed it in the Second Circuit, which is in New York. Well, it's based in New York. Second Circuit covers a lot of places. And this was en banc, which means the entire panel of judges on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, not just the initial 3-judge panel. And the en banc Second Circuit denied his appeal. So that's very good news. Now,
we love to hear a Trump loss.
I know. There's so many of them. We're kind of getting too used to it. You know, it used to be he'd lose like once every 3 or 4 months and we'd have a big party. Now it's like every day.
Keep them coming.
Yeah. 2 Trump appointees on the Second Circuit, Judge Menashe and Judge Park, dissented, saying that the judge in the E. Jean Carroll case should not have admitted, quote, propensity evidence like the Access Hollywood tape. So, okay, sorry, you lose. Now, the next stop for this and the last stop on this particular case for Trump is going to be the Supreme Court. And we'll see what happens. We'll keep you posted. And, you know, I brought this up. I know Professor Vladeck wrote about this on his One First blog. There are going to be very soon hundreds of Trump cases coming up to the Supreme Court. And they're not going to be able to take them all.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to pick and choose. And I don't know if the E. Jean Carroll appeal is real high up on
their... It's going to make it up there. I know.
On their, rules for the ages type thing, unless they want to step in and grant the president some immunity against civil lawsuits.
Well, don't threaten them with a good time.
Which would overturn a whole ton of precedent.
Exactly.
Jones v. Clinton, et cetera, but we'll see.
Yeah, and once they refuse to take up any one of his cases, an all caps tweet is going to come out talking about how lazy and pathetic they are. They can't do their job and they're Trump haters and
the Federalist Society did him dirty.
Yeah. Whatever, man. But we move on. But a federal magistrate judge has issued a show cause order in the lawsuit brought by the Proud Boys against the DOJ for $100 million. The suit was brought in the Middle District of Florida And the magistrate judge's order says, membership or special admission in the Middle District Bar is necessary to practice in the Middle District. If a lawyer has membership or special admission in the Middle District Bar, the lawyer must inform the clerk within 14 days after the lawyer is convicted of a felony.
Uh-oh. If you're a lawyer and the judge is typing that out, that's a bad way to start a show cause order. According to the court's records, it goes on to say, lawyer Augustus Sol Invictus, is that his real name? Is a member of the Middle District Bar and the Florida Bar. On June 6th, 2025, he filed this lawsuit. However, it appears from the publicly available records of the Virginia judiciary that Mr. Invictus was convicted of a felony on January 8th, 2025, 2 days after the lawsuit was filed. And by the way, failed to file notice to the court within 14 days. Accordingly, it is ordered that on or before June 26th, okay, that's 8 days from now, Augustus Sol Invictus must show cause in writing to this court why he has not violated Local Rule 204B1 and why he is not currently suspended from the Middle District Bar. So now he's got to submit to this magistrate judge a filing that explains how come he's still a lawyer in the middle district, because he failed to tell anyone that he was convicted of a felony. So womp womp.
Well, that's funny because they specifically cherry picked that district, try to get a favorable ruling, trying to get a sympathetic judge or something like that. So the reason why they picked that district, obviously, is, why not DC? Well, you know how that's going to go or whatever, right. or the way it has been going. But if they get a
jury, they want to get a jury in Orlando.
They want to get exactly, not Washington, D.C. But can we get back to this guy's name real quick?
Yeah.
Augustus Sol Invictus. That sounds like something that sounds like some doctrine or something like that. Not a lawyer's name. My gosh, that is hilarious. Augustus Sol Invictus. That's got to be a name. He's got to have to change his name. That's got to be like a legal name change.
I feel like he wrote a comic book about himself when he was very young and decided later on in life that he would change his name to his hero's namesake. I don't know. Maybe that's his real name.
Are there any? I don't know anybody with the last name Invictus. Is that like obviously we've heard of the word Invictus before, but
it sounds a lot like convicted.
Yeah.
So
convicted Invictus.
So I don't know. Maybe that's his name. I'll call him whatever he wants me to call him because I'm cool like that. But
that's it.
That is an interesting.
We can call him felon.
Yeah. We can apparently, convicted 2 days after he filed this $100 million. That's very interesting. So the Proud Boys might be scrambling around for a new lawyer. Not that they're going to need a lot of huge arguments. They're going up against the DoJ under Trump. So
yeah,
we'll see what
they probably represent themselves.
Yeah, I know. All right, we got a big old C block coming up. We've got a Wisconsin nonprofit organization filing a lawsuit, a couple other things we have to talk about, but we do have to take another quick break. So everybody stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. All right. We have our Hall of Fame patrons to thank. Thank you so much, Maria Tovar, Mr. Halfspeed, Mr. Stu Pedasso, skintwalletsusa.com, Rose Flaherty. Please don't read this on the pod. We don't need a call out. Thanks for what you do. Ren, Special K, Kaido, and Dr. David. Thank you so much for being Hall of Fame patrons. We couldn't do this without you.
I love how we always say read it, even though they say don't read it.
I know.
I love that every single time. And this is encourage you all. You can get whatever you want us to say, and we will read it out there for you if you become Hall of Fame or any type of patron. But special shout out to our Hall of Fame.
We're going to read whatever you put down for your name, even if it's Sol Invictus. We will read your name. All right. Our next story comes from the Washington Post. A Wisconsin nonprofit organization focused on fighting for fair elections has filed a legal complaint alleging that Elon Musk illegally bribed voters by giving out cash prizes this year in his attempt to help conservatives take control of the swing state's Supreme Court. The complaint, provided to the Post by lawyers representing the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign and 2 Wisconsin voters who have standing here, claim that Musk, his America PAC, and Musk-linked entity, one of them known as the United States of America, Inc., oh, God, man, violated the state's election law in a brazen scheme to bribe Wisconsin citizens to vote.
As you know, as involved as I was in this race, that Wisconsin Supreme Court race with Bradley Schimmel and Susan Judge Crawford, excuse me. I was almost said Susan Collins, man. But no, I'm glad to see this. I am glad to see this because that was they were trying to buy votes clearly out there. So I am personally glad to see this lawsuit come forward. The complaint stems from the actions of the Tesla and SpaceX CEO ahead of the Wisconsin Supreme Court election this spring when he handed out 2 $1 million checks to Wisconsin voters. And when his super PAC, America PAC, paid registered voters $100 each for signing petitions and providing their contact info. And they still lost.
Yeah. Oh, man. He spent $20 million plus and still lost by 10 points plus.
Go ahead, Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. Now, state law, the complaint notes, bars offering or giving any amount of money over $1 to induce anyone to go to the polls, vote, or vote for a particular person. The complaint, which was filed Tuesday of last week, by the way, also claims the actions violated the state's prohibition on unauthorized lotteries. The plaintiffs are asking the court to declare that the conduct broke state law and to bar Musk and the defendants from replicating such conduct in future Wisconsin elections. That's the key, right? Like, stay out in 2026, Emma
You can't do this anymore.
They're also asking the court to award damages to the extent supported by law.
I'm here for it. Days before an event in Wisconsin where Musk handed out the $1 million checks, the state's attorney general, Josh Carroll, sued Musk and America PAC, arguing that the billionaire was violating a law that bars offering voters something of value in exchange for casting ballots. After a county judge declined to immediately hold a hearing and an appeals court rebuffed his request, Carroll asked the state's high court to issue a temporary restraining order barring Musk and America PAC from further promoting Musk's visit to Wisconsin and making payments conditioned on voting. The justices on the court declined to take the case and did not explain their rationale.
Yeah, we remember that. I was mad. Yeah. Now, when Josh Carroll's suit was filed, Musk and his team portrayed the payments as rewards for signing petitions and serving as spokespeople, not as compensation for votes. At the time, Musk was an advisor to Trump and oversaw DoJ, a federal cost-cutting agency. I put that in air quotes, by the way. America PAC declined to comment Wednesday on the new complaint. Musk initially said that the giveaway event and prize money would be open to only those who had voted early in appreciation for you taking time to vote. After legal scholars questioned that plan, Musk deleted his initial post about the event and said it would be open to Wisconsin registered voters who signed a petition opposing activist judges.
Jeff Mandel, president and general counsel for Law Forward, a public interest law firm representing the plaintiffs in the latest complaint, said that one of Carroll's biggest challenges was the short timeline of his request. Mandel said, "We're trying to create accountability in a more regular timeline in a way that gives the courts the opportunity to look at this more carefully and in a more traditional procedure for them. And we fully expect the courts are going to do so." If you remember, this happened, Musk's announcement about paying, the lawsuit filed like a couple hours later. And then they had to I agree with that statement that Mandel just put out.
Yeah, totally. Now, the plaintiffs in the latest complaint are also in a different position substantively because we know exactly what happened and how it unfolded, and we're asking the court to say this is not acceptable. That's what Mandel added. Musk similarly deployed high-value giveaways in swing states during the 2024 election, saying he would hand out $1 million daily in a lottery for registered voters who signed a petition as part of his super PAC's recruitment drive. The program also sought to give $47 cash incentives for valid referrals to registered voters in swing states. 47. Interesting.
Interesting
Despite
number.
legal efforts to stop Musk's tactics during the 2024 presidential campaign, a Pennsylvania judge said that prosecutors failed to show it was an illegal lottery, and he allowed the giveaways to continue through Election Day.
This complaint aims to prevent Musk and his groups from taking similar actions in Wisconsin in future elections. In recent months, Musk has sent mixed signals as to whether he plans to stay involved in U.S. elections. Trump carried Wisconsin in 2024, but Musk's preferred candidate lost the state Supreme Court race. In late May, weeks before his exit from the administration as a special government employee, Musk indicated that he planned to do a lot less political spending going forward after having spent massively for Trump's campaign. But he said that he could change if he saw a reason to do political spending in the future.
Musk then left his role overseeing DoJ. I don't think he's left completely, but officially, I guess. He left last month with the fanfare of a personal send-off by Trump and the presentation of a ceremonial key to the Oval Office. However, in the short time since his departure, Musk's relationship with Trump and many Republicans in Congress has soured, with the tech scion suggesting at times that he may seek political revenge against Republican lawmakers who support the president's massive legislative priorities bill. Last week, for example, Musk said on Twitter that a new political party is needed in America to represent the 80% in the middle. No. He also threatened to fire all politicians who betrayed the American people by supporting the bill.
That guy is delusional. And in other news, the American Bar Association sued the Trump administration Monday over the president's sanctions on law firms, saying he was threatening the independence of lawyers and trying to intimidate them from challenging him in court. Never before has there been as urgent a need for the ABA, American Bar Association, to defend its members, their profession, and the rule of law itself, the group's lawsuit said.
Yeah, I wonder what took him so long to file this. There's been so many other lawsuits from individual law firms.
Hey, G, I was going to ask you the same thing. I was going, what took them so long to do this, especially as you've seen some of the ones that he targeted already caved into his demands?
Maybe they had to get a certain level of support from American Bar Association members.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of them, by the way. So to go on with this story, Trump rattled the legal profession this year, as we know, by issuing a series of executive orders punishing some law firms and striking deals with others, hoping to avoid similar penalties. 4 firms have sued to challenge Trump's orders. Judges struck down 3 of the orders so far, calling them unconstitutional. A ruling in the 4th lawsuit, filed by the firm Sussman Godfrey, I hope I'm saying that right, is pending, though a judge hearing that case has temporarily blocked most of Trump's punishments.
Yeah, Trump's deals with 9 prominent law firms have outraged many attorneys at those businesses and across the country. 9. The firms agreed to provide nearly $1 billion in combined pro bono legal services for causes that include aiding veterans. I don't have a problem with aiding veterans. No problem there. But the way that this is going about is ridiculous. A wave of attorneys quit firms that made deals. Good for them. In some cases, defecting to competitors who fought Trump's actions in courts.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen a lot of that. I know we talked to Rachel Cohen from Skadden Arps about her resignation, and there's been a lot. Now, the ABA lawsuit filed in D.C., U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, said Trump's actions against the law firms, quote, cast a deep chill over the legal profession. The group asked a judge to declare his sanctions unconstitutional and block the administration from enforcing them against any ABA member or their firm. Now, the Justice Department didn't respond to a request for comment Monday, which is probably for the best because we don't need to hear from them about this lawsuit. The agency has not said whether it will appeal the ruling, striking down 3 of Trump's orders aimed at law firms. So we're still kind of in a holding pattern on those.
Yeah, the ABA, the American Bar Association, again, a professional association for attorneys, has previously joined or filed 3 other lawsuits against the Trump administration, challenging cancellations of grants, contracts, or other funding. In its lawsuit filed Monday, the ABA said that it struggled to get legal representation in one of those cases, which the group believed was due to firms' reasonable fear of unlawful retaliation by the president.
Maybe that's what took him a while.
There we go. The Trump administration has also taken sharp aim at the ABA, with top Justice Department officials accusing the group of bias and blocking employees from attending its events.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche wrote in April in a memo that the ABA was free to litigate in support of activist causes, unquote. But he said Justice Department employees acting in an official capacity were no longer allowed to attend or speak at any ABA events. And the agency would not use taxpayer dollars to pay for anyone to travel to ABA events. Last month, Pam Bondi wrote to the ABA that the administration would not help the group vet judicial nominees. Basically, for next Trump's judges that he's going to appoint, they don't want the ABA's input anymore. And the ABA has long evaluated federal judicial nominees appointed by presidents of both parties, conducting interviews and reviewing their legal writing before rating their qualifications. Those assessments, the ABA notes, they're strictly advisory, and senators and the White House are free to ignore it.
I like that little caveat right there. Interesting. Bondi called the ABA an activist group and said it no longer functions as a fair arbiter of nominees' qualifications, accusing the organization of being biased towards picks from Democratic administrations. She said the judicial nominees would not respond to the ABA's questionnaires or give them interviews. William R. Bay, the ABA's president, wrote to Bondi last week and said the group was surprised and disappointed by her decision.
I'm not surprised.
Not at all.
Yeah, they don't want to vet any of their appointees. They're going to be 10 times worse than anybody that Trump put on the bench in his first term. Now, he said Bondi's changes would lead to less transparency and appeared to be based on incorrect information, writing that, quote, the data does not support your claim of bias in the ratings process. It is deeply disturbing that the DOJ has decided to restrict access to judicial nominees without justification or basis. That's what he wrote. And now here's what the ABA is asking from the court. Declare any security clearance termination provision unconstitutional. Declare any government contracting provision unconstitutional. Declare any federal building and employee access provision unconstitutional. And declare any federal employment provision unconstitutional. And to enjoin Trump from doing any of those things. So that's what they want, and damages as they see fit. So we'll be following that lawsuit as well.
Rooting for you, ABA.
Yep, we are rooting for you. We got a lot of lawsuits we're going to be following. All right, we got one last lawsuit that's about to, come to a conclusion with the jury deliberating. We're going to talk about the Pillow Man, battle, his defamation battle with Coomer and voting systems right after this last break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, y'all, welcome back. All right, we have the latest on the Pillow Man, Mike Lindell's trial. Is his pillow going to be fluffed or not? This is from. I couldn't resist the dad joke right there. So, but this is from Colorado Public Radio. Attorneys for both sides in the defamation trial of Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow, made their closing arguments on Friday, capping a 2-week-long trial and putting the decision in the hands of the jury. Eric Coomer, the former director of product strategy and security for the Denver-based Dominion Voting Systems, is seeking $62.7 million in damages from Lindell for, according to the lawsuit, targeting a private individual with false allegations of criminal conduct on a scale unprecedented in American history. That alleged criminal conduct is the claim that Coomer helped steal the 2020 election for Joe Biden. You just got to take a laugh just to that, right?
I try to be a serious podcast, we're serious. We talk about law and serious legal issues.
This is seriously funny, though.
It is seriously funny. It's why I put it in. Every time I choose, I could choose to leave this out, but I have to. I am drawn to the Pillow Man like a moth to the flame.
Absolutely.
Now, the suit argues that Lindell used his public platforms, MyPillow and the website Frank's Speech, to profit from and spread false claims about Coomer. Coomer said the continued harassment and threats from Lindell and others forced him to leave a 15-year career in an industry he loved, and that the real-world consequences of the falsehoods have been devastating. His team argues Lindell either knew the claims about Coomer rigging the election were false or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. Lindell's defense countered that there was already a litany of allegations circulating about Coomer in the conservative sphere before Lindell ever mentioned him. They argue that Coomer failed to prove Lindell's statements did any further damage to his reputation or career.
That reminds me of like when a cop pulls, everybody's on the highway speeding and the cop gets you. And like everybody else was doing it. Like that's literally what this sounds like. Everybody else was doing it. Well, I just did it too.
4 other guys have beat people up before. I can't be you can't charge me with assault.
Me? Unbelievable.
Yeah. The people have been beating people up forever. That's like, come on, man.
That's literally what the defense is. Oh my gosh, man. Lindell said on the stand that he stood by his statements regarding Coomer. Believing a claim is true is one of the defenses for defamation. They did not prove that Lindell knew by clear and convicting evidence that the statements were false, said defense attorney Christopher Catcheroof. We'll just go with that. The jury returned to its deliberations early morning Monday.
Yeah, I think it's Catcheroff. I think you're close. I don't know. We could be wrong. Somebody will write in and tell us. But anyway, Coomer's legal team has argued throughout the trial that the claims Lindell based his comments on were fabricated by conservative Colorado activist Joe Altman from Douglas County. In November 2020, Altman started telling people that at some point prior to the election, he'd infiltrated a call with Denver area Antifa members, which included a man named Eric from Dominion. Quote, they're talking on this call and he responds, and I'm paraphrasing this, right? Don't worry about the election. Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of that. Ha, ha, ha. And everyone's like, yeah. And then somebody else responds, effing right. That's what Altman said on his podcast.
From there, Coomer's name quickly spread through right-wing news and social media, with Altman's claim taken as proof that Dominion had somehow used its election equipment to change critical votes and steal the election. During the trial, an election expert from the University of Michigan testified at length that there has never been any evidence of that. Coomer's attorneys also pointed to statements from the Republican U.S. Attorney General at the time and the Federal Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which found zero fraud.
Yeah, that's CISA. That's Krebs, right? And we know Trump has, signed an executive order singling out Krebs, and another one singling out Miles Taylor, our good friend. Altman was also called as a witness during the trial. According to an account by 9 News, he insisted that he had no doubt Coomer was on the call, but claimed the information about how he gained access to the call was protected by journalistic privilege. Maybe Hegseth added him to the signal chat. Coomer's attorney listed 10 allegedly defamatory statements from Lindell or his businesses, and they focused on a few of what they considered the most egregious and said, quote, all of these statements were false and made with knowledge of their falsity or reckless disregard. That's lead attorney Charles Kane. In one statement made on May 9th, 2021, Lindell said Coomer was part of the biggest crime the world has ever seen and called him disgusting and evil.
He's so evil. The statement came about a week after Coomer had reached a settlement in a separate, this guy is getting defamed left and right, the separate defamation lawsuit with the right-wing media outlet Newsmax, which issued a retraction and an apology to Coomer over claims that he manipulated election results in 2020. Newsmax has found no evidence that Dr. Coomer interfered with Dominion voting machines or voting software in any way, nor that Dr. Coomer ever claimed to have done so. Read a part of the network's statement. Now, that's a coherent statement coming from Newsmax. So,
yeah,
wow.
Well, they had to because they lost in court.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody wrote it for him. That's why it's coherent. Coomer's attorney said he believed his life might take a turn after the Newsmax settlement and that the conspiracy theories about him might die down until Lindell made those remarks. As for Lindell, the lawyer said the Pillow CEO lashed out because he was worried the settlement meant he could no longer speak as freely on Newsmax or promote his business. This was what we, when we talked about his testimony, is like, because I couldn't lie on Newsmax anymore. We lost $20 million.
Pillows, exactly.
Yeah. Quote, you don't get off defaming somebody if you think they blocked you from making money on Newsmax. That's what the lawyer said. He added there was nothing in the Newsmax settlement that specifically involved Mike Lindell anyway. Quote, and why would it? The world doesn't revolve around Mike Lindell.
This is great, man. I love this for him.
I know.
The defense also focused on a cyber symposium Lindell hosted in South Dakota in August of 2021 that promised digital proof of a stolen election. At one point, Altman took the stage and retold his story of the alleged Antifa phone call, giving Altman that platform so long after his original claims, and in face of Coomer's vigorous denials of them, showed reckless disregard for the truth, Coomer's attorneys argued. They had 9 months to investigate these claims, and they didn't even try, said Cain.
Yeah, wow. Cain also highlighted another speaker at the symposium, David Clements, a self-proclaimed election fraud evangelist, who said that Coomer was in charge of a voting machine feature to murder the American people's votes. You've got your election cartel, you've got your vote trafficking organizations, and you have the man that pulled the trigger. That's what Clements told the audience.
This reads from like a cheesy novel. Like, what the hell?
I know. I remember watching that part of the symposium where some guy was up there going through all the data that they had stolen with the help of that Kim lady from Colorado up on the screen. And while he's scrolling through it, looking at it, his lawyer called him. Remember? And he's like, hey, I got to go. And he hung up the phone, tipped out. Now, Lindell's website, Frank Speech, hosted and streamed the symposium event. The defense said Lindell either knew or reasonably should have known that these were blatantly false statements. According to the defense, records from Coomer's therapist show he has a lot of anxiety, stress, and panic attacks, and they all increased after this cyber symposium. Quote, what he has been put through is hell. That's what Cain said about Coomer from the voting, Dominion.
Yeah, wow. When it was their turn to talk to the jury, the defense told them the case is simple, and the only thing that matters is whether Lindell believes what he said is true.
That's not true.
Yeah, not at all. Quote, some of you all are tempted to deliberate for a long time. It should be 10 minutes in and out. Defense attorney Jennifer DeMaster instructed the jury. The First Amendment still matters. You can call what he said insane. You can call it crazy, but that's not the standard of the First Amendment protection, said DeMaster. Mr. Lindell unequivocally believes everything he says.
I love that. You can call my client an idiot, stupid, insane, crazy. That's all protected.
This is insane. So it sounds like she's setting him up to go be committed. Like after all this, he's insane. He's nuts. So this is crazy.
He is kind of off his rocker, though. She said Coomer's team failed to show any evidence that Lindell ever doubted what he was saying about the government, election security, or Coomer. And she told the jury it should consider Lindell's comments about Coomer being a traitor as hyperbole because, and I quote, Lindell calls everyone a traitor. DeMaster also used her closing statements to launch a broader attack against those who have pushed back on false claims about the election, arguing that Coomer's lawsuit is part of a coordinated effort to suppress those who continue to say the 2020 election was stolen. In a reference to the Totalitarian Society in the book 1984, she called Coomer's former employer, Dominion Voting Systems, and others, including the Colorado County Clerks Association, the Ministry of Truth Club.
Outside the federal courthouse, after the jury had gone home for the weekend, Lindell echoed those sentiments while live streaming on his current platform, Lindell TV. This whole trial was about lawfare, he told viewers online. You're well familiar with that. It was all about lawfare and suppressing people's voices.
Now, during the trial, Lindell's defense set up a timeline to show that claims about Coomer were circulating widely within 6 months of the election, well before Lindell started to make public statements about Coomer. And so the damage that those allegations caused was therefore not his responsibility. Like somebody else did it. Peter Kent, a social media impact expert hired by the defense, said a Team Trump account tweeted out a message about Coomer 3 times, which Donald Trump then retweeted to 89 million followers. Quote, it could be millions upon millions of people who saw those tweets from the president, said Kent. He also noted at least 8 TV broadcasters repeated the claims about Coomer, some including Newsmax and Salem Media Group, which, by the way, lost their suits and apologized, right? Like, well, Newsmax said stuff too. Yeah, and we sued them and they lost.
They
had to apologize. Quote, this is all before Lindell said anything about Dr. Coomer. That's what Kent said.
Lindell's team also argued he wasn't responsible for statements other people made about Coomer on his streaming platform, Frank Speech, because he wasn't personally publishing anything. Lindell said he did not know about Altman's story before it was discussed on stage at the August 2021 Cyber Symposium. That just sounds like too nice of a name for these not educated. Cyber Symposium. They don't even know what's supposed.
That was that whole thing that he did.
No, I remember. That just sounds too formal for anything that Mike Lindell is capable of. The defense accused Comer of going after Lindell for his money long after Comer's reputation had already been torn apart after the 2020 election. There was no damage.
Lindell has no money.
Yeah, exactly. He just complained about $20 million. That this is why this is funny, y'all. This is why this is serious, but it's seriously funny. There was no damage. It occurred in November and December. It was done by the time Lindell got involved, said DeMaster. And she noted what Coomer said on the stand. He admitted to all of us, my reputation was done in January 2020.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's not much of an argument on Lindell's side, but that's his argument. He's like, hey,
he believed what he said.
Everybody ruined Dominion's reputation before I got a chance to. So we'll see how it ends up. As of the recording of this, we may have a verdict by Wednesday. I imagine we will. I don't think the jury will be deliberating more than 2 days, 3 days. And maybe we'll be able to insert an update here at the end with some breaking news. I think, what were they looking for? 67 million?
64.7, I believe, or something like that. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Less than the Proud Boys. So
we'll see what the jury decides, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. Hey everybody, it's AG. I have some breaking news. The federal jury in Colorado found MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell did defame former Dominion Voting Systems employee Mr. Coomer. He won't have to pay $64 million, just $2.3 million, but the jury did find him guilty just hours after we finished recording the podcast. I now return you to your regularly scheduled program. And that's our show. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Thanks for being patrons. Harry, thanks for all the work you do. Thanks for this lawsuit that you filed. Now we both got lawsuits. I got one against DoJ. You got one against the architect of the Capitol.
Yeah.
It's lawsuit season.
It's lawsuit season. Listen, that just shows, like, got to continue fighting. Like I said, I didn't know after Donald Trump got reelected what accountability looks like. Maybe this is a little bit of accountability here. If we are victorious in this lawsuit. So let's keep fighting, y'all. Let's not capitulate. Is that the word that I love hearing that I don't know how to pronounce? I just said it. Let's not capitulate or bend the knee. And let's keep
How was your Father's Day, man?
Oh, man, let me tell you something. Cigars and bourbon with family and friends. I couldn't ask for anything more. So it was great. Thank you for asking. I did put out a little message about people that have lost their fathers or fathers are no longer in their lives. Just hold on to those good memories. And I gave a message to fathers out there, whether in a biological or role or not. We have to continue to do better because our children are looking up to us. And it's important for us to make sure we set the bar high and make sure that they have a standard that is worth living up to. So keep going, men and fathers. You all are doing well. And to everybody who doesn't have their father in their life, just please hold on to it tight to those good memories that you shared with your father. Yeah.
And if you need help setting the bar high, Harry is not only a very wonderful person, but he's also like 6'8" with shoes on.
I can hang the bar up high,
to places no one can reach.
That's it. I could get the top items off the grocery store shelves for you.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate all your help getting things off the top shelf for me. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know I did at the No Kings rally, and I know some fathers did. Thank you for saying that. I don't have my father anymore, so I just I got a bunch of surrogate dads out there. Steve Martin is my surrogate father. He doesn't know, but
he doesn't know it. Yeah.
He serves in that role. I suppose I could try to tell him, but that might sound a little weird. So
you're my daddy. Wait,
I've
what?
I've avoided that letter, and we'll just leave it at that. But I just want to say I appreciate everybody who came out and saw us this weekend. And if you're a patron or you want to become one, do so. We're going to have another happy hour Zoom call this Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Pacific time. Harry will be there with bells on, drinking Patron with patrons. Patron with patrons.
Patron with patrons.
By Cleanup on L45. And we will see you then. Until then, please take care of yourselves. I'm Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thank you all.
Cleanup on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Cleanup on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.